Alright, welcome to a really cool idea I had. I thought it'd be pretty fun to rank everything I played this year. In this, I'll be ranking everything I played blind this year. So that's gonna be pretty fun. I think this is the first time I appeared on this with all of this. This is my microphone. Yes, I clearly have the highest budget. I don't think there's too much to be said. It's a traditional tier list with one extra tier where I'll put the best game I've played out of all of them at the top, in my opinion. So obviously there's a lot of bias toward what I liked. I'm going to try not to stuff S tier. I say that even though I've already done the first half of this 5 months ago, in which I stuffed the S tier. In addition, there's still some things coming out this year that I want to add, but for practicality reasons, I need to finish this in November so I can even dream of getting it out in time. Alright, I think that's about everything. Let's go ahead and get started.
So starting off with the really low res images, LA Noire. This game, I didn't know if I was going to count it this year, but I played, I think it was less than half of it last year, but I didn't actually finish it until this year, essentially, so that's the only reason I'm counting it here. This game is absolutely fantastic. Highly recommend it to anyone who likes a good detective game, because it is probably the best detective game I've played, although I haven't played many. So yeah, highly recommend that one. Deadly Premonition 2. Now, if you've never heard of the first Deadly Premonition, this game is renowned for being the most charming piece of garbage ever made. Like, Deadly Premonition is not a good game, but I really like it. So the sequel came out, and it is a very divisive sequel. Its story is kind of crazy, but it was a really fun one. I really liked it. It was essentially the other thing I was playing the start of this year. I played it in like a week straight in January. It was fantastic. It's flawed. The game is very flawed. It does not look very good a lot of the time. It only released on the Switch, which is a real bummer for anyone wanting to play this game on any other platform, or even just like a PC port could run this game at 60 frames, no problem. I know a lot of people would have preferred that. Tetris 99. So I hesitated to count this one because it's Tetris 99. It came out a while back. Everyone's got a Switch online membership, so probably tried it. But around the first 2 months of this year, I was addicted to it. I was having a great time. I was decent at it. I've never won a game in any of the 99 games, including Mario 35. So this is a very solid game. It's just fun. I don't know if I'd put it with LA Noire though. It's kind of like a basic. Oh, we're here to Resident Evil Remake HD Remaster. Woo! I played this one on the channel. Wow. I think it's one of the best video games I've played, like, as a game, especially as a horror game, but as a game in general. And it's a weird thing where the gameplay style, I think, really only works as well as it did because of the mansion that it's set in. I don't think it would have worked as well in a remake like this for Resident Evil 2 and 3. This game's an easy S tier. It is. Wow. Wow. At the end of January with Yakuza 3 Remastered. Wow, this game. It was interesting. I really liked it. A great time with it. It's one of the more hated ones in the series. It's not hated, but it's not exactly loved either. Because the plot is admittedly not like very good, but I had a great time with it because I enjoyed Kiryu hanging out in an orphanage with his kids. It was really fun. I found it pretty funny, honestly. You could tell the engine it's using is a little ancient, but it's a remaster, not a remake. And it still holds up really well, except for the block feature. The enemies block literally everything, no exceptions. And I would probably put it A tier, if not for the next one coming up. Yakuza 4 Remastered. Played these two back to back. They play really similarly because they're in the same engine, but this game has a uphand. It's only in the main city of Kamurocho, but you get access to the rooftops and the underground, and it starts you off as a new character. I was so excited. I was seeing a new side of Kamurocho. I played for hours and hours. It was such a fun exploration. It was the first game Yakuza I got over 50% in, but this game, like, don't get me wrong, this is not the one you want to complete first, because it took me 60 hours to complete half of it. So I'm gonna put this at A tier. It's a really great game. Completionists who are already insane for doing Yakuza series will probably still do this one. So who am I to tell them to stop? Alright, now, Astro's Playroom. Some people hesitate to call this a game, call it a tech demo. I still call it a game. I loved it. It was such a fun experience. The first time I played it, I have about 8 or 9 hours on it, and I think it took me about 6 my first playthrough. I 100% on everything because it was just so easy and fun. And the DualSense is a really cool controller. I think I'd rank it a B. It was a really fun platinum. Although I'm just a little annoyed. I looking up the hidden trophy, and I was like, oh, that's a little dumb. It's not up here with these. Not even questionable. But it's solid. It's good. It's not C. It's not middle of the line. I think it's better than that. Okay, Spider-Man Remastered. So, this is the next game I played after I got my PlayStation 5. If you know anything about this game, if you've seen someone play it, if you've played it yourself, you know why I'm putting it in S tier. I love this game. I'd never been crazy into Spider-Man media. I mean, I'd seen some of the recent Marvel movies. I watched some Spider-Man cartoons as a kid, and I enjoyed those. That's why I kind of wanted to play this. It was such a great completion. There were only like there was only like 2 or 3 annoying trophies, and it was like the 100 times combos, and some of the DLC ones, which aren't even needed to get the platinum, and then the fact that you need to play New Game Plus and hardest difficulty in a separate trophy set. So I still haven't done that. I'm probably gonna do it on the channel. If you have a PS4 or a PS5, play this game. Persona 5 Royal. I really like it, but I haven't finished it. So this game is subject to change. And by the way, this is, I don't know if I clarified this or not, I did my best to order these by when I completed, like when I played them, going from trophy dates or when the game came out, or like when I know I got it. But anyways, this game, it's got a really fun art style, it's got some excellent music, it's got a pretty good story. This is subject to change, and I'm going to clarify it again, but for now, A tier. This game, wow, I don't think I've played a game with this much obvious just heart put into it in a long time. Yakuza 5 Remastered. So, this game is widely renowned as the best Yakuza game, especially by the fan base. I did not like this game. At least, this game's story. This game's story, oh, it was way too long. made no sense for a good chunk of the game. It gets points for Haruka's section, which was really fun, and it both gets and loses points for Shinada's section, you know, the last character of the game, because you could cut him out of the plot and almost nothing would change, but he has pretty much my second favorite campaign because I really enjoyed the rhythm game and so much more from Yakuza 5. That was one of the only times I went out to do side content, which is what everyone loves about this game. But I just blown 60 hours on Yakuza 4 still relatively recently. I just completed Spider-Man Remastered. All the other Yakuza games I played had, in my mind, at least solid stories. I mean, when I think of Zero, I actually think of the side content now. But before that, I think of some of the really good story beats. Kiwami, that was my first game. I loved it. Kiwami 2, there's so much to love about that game. Its ending, the one scene where Kiryu picks up the can, which you might know if you've played the game. That might sound stupid, but it's a really good moment. Yakuza 3, Kiryu goes insane, screaming, heartfelt moment. Yakuza 4, just some of the best three new characters you could have added, plus a really fun mystery. And then 5, what happened? It's like, this game is so packed full of side content that honestly I would recommend skipping the story in this game and just playing it for the side content, because I didn't because I just blown so much time on Yakuza 4 and Spider-Man and 3, and I just wanted a break. I picked the wrong game to do so. I feel like if I gave this a replay and did more side content and less story, I would like it more. So I'm gonna put this in C. Okay, about the middle of Yakuza 5, I played Spider-Man Miles Morales and then took a break to finish Yakuza 5, so I was basically in between these games. And then I came back and platinumed it about a few weeks ago. It was great. I loved it. I think you could argue it had better emotional moments in the story, in a way. It's not an insanely hard platinum. It's not an insanely long game. It took me about 22 hours to get the platinum. The story on New Game Plus, I blasted through the story and finished it in about 4 hours. But I liked the story, so it was fine. I wasn't skipping the parts I liked. I think this game is really solid. I don't know if I'd put it up here with this, but it's a really good game. I love the Venom Punch mechanic. I want to see how they're going to one-up that with... Insomniac's going to one-up that with Peter in the next game. Spider-Man 2, I guess, or whatever they want to call it. Oh, Resident Evil 2 Remake is the most terrified I've ever been playing a video game. I loved this game, playing through Claire's run. I really could not say anything other than this game is fantastic about Claire's run, her A run. And, I mean, I played it on the channel. If you really want to watch my thoughts on it, you can watch that. It's not very long. There was a lot of screaming, a lot of terrified, oh no, you know. If you've never played Resident Evil 2 Remake A run, I highly recommend you find this game on sale, because it goes on sale a lot, and maybe even the Raccoon City bundle, because that's what I got it for. $35 for Resident Evil 2 and 3 remakes instead of the $80 it normally costs. Thanks, Capcom, for putting your games on sale so much. But the B run, I played the B run on my own. I got about halfway through it. Leon B is the hardest campaign in the game. Multitude of factors. He has weaker guns, and more importantly, the Tyrant follows you the entire game. There are barely any moments where he is not following you, and the Tyrant was the most stressful part about the game that made me like, I don't know if I want to play this. In Claire's run, he goes away, essentially. I would have put this in S if it was not for the insanely difficult Neon Biron. It put the game down for me. I still haven't finished it. I don't think I will. Yakuza 6, The Song of Life. This game is hated. This game is loved. I really liked this game. Its story was more than a little stupid. In fact, its ending, without any spoilers, was pretty dumb. And if this wasn't the finale to Kiryu's story, I would rank it higher because I think it's a really good, like, essentially one-off story until the very end, where it basically tries to wrap up Kiryu's story, which was really stupid, if I'm being honest. That was not a very good way to end it off. But I love the story, I love the beats. That's why the reason I say it's one-off is because one of the biggest complaints is, like, there's a lot of stuff here you could have done by taking advantage of his old friends in the area that didn't even come up, like the Florist of Sai, for example. You know, it was extremely disappointing that in the finale, Daigo, Majima, and Saejima essentially did nothing. Some of the biggest characters in Akiyama almost, like, he was there, but he barely did anything too. I think this is a great game, but not a good finale, because the side content was really fun. The Dragon Engine is, especially in this first game, it's a little broken. And so it was really fun to play through. Onomichi, really gorgeous town, but it's a little empty. Yeah, I liked all the side content though. It actually felt like the side content was trying to pull off a finale in a way. And then there was some stupid stuff like a railgun shooter underwater, and it's an interesting game. It's not the best, it's not the worst, except as a finale. Detroit Become Human. This game, ooh, what do I even say about this game? This game is interesting. I liked it. I had a good time with Detroit Become Human. I made some stupid mistakes, like, I stayed still as Kara, and if you stay still as Kara, she dies. But honestly, I think it was for the better, because I really don't like Kara's storyline. I find it a little stupid, honestly, and you could cut it from the game, and it wouldn't make much of a difference. You could say that about a lot of stuff in this game, but I enjoyed what was going on with Marcus's story. Connor and Hank probably have the best story, because you got Clancy Brown in there. This game, really good. I think it's available on PC as well, so give it a shot if you want. The motion controls and the touchpad stuff are only on the PlayStation 4 port, so you don't have to worry about that. Miitopia. This game was one of the last 3DS games I like. It was like, oh, I really want this. I saw the demo for it appear on the eShop. I'm like, oh, this looks fun. This is essentially the original Miitopia ported to the Switch, with additions that only enhance the game, and one small missing thing, that is publishing your Miis online like you could in the 3DS version. I like how they kept this the most popular selection from the 3DS version, but after a year, people who are still playing the game are going to get bored of those. So this game might surprise people, but this is easy A tier. It's a fantastic game. Alright. Super Mario 3D World plus Bowser's Fury. I got this game. I played it. I played a little bit of it. It's alright. I've never been a big Mario fan, honestly. I think the only thing I can specifically recommend about this game is the music. I haven't played Bowser's Fury either, yet. I'm not a big Mario guy, honestly. It's like a crime, I know, but it's not for me. I'm an RPG guy. I'm basically the opposite of Scott the Woz. Maquette. Okay, so this game, it exists. It's not garbage. It is not F tier. I wouldn't call it C tier either. I don't know if I might call it C tier. The music in it is pretty decent. There's an appeal for this game, and people like this game. I don't like this game. I think the Maquette idea works best in the first level, and then after that it kind of just starts slowly delving into, I really don't like this. It's hard because I know there's a lot of heart in this game, but I really don't like it. Alright, Judgment. Wow, this game. Wow. I went into this because it's the Dragon Engine. The Dragon Engine always feels fresh on me, even if I'm jumping straight from another Yakuza game. Judgment, I think, has what I'd argue is one of the just best all-around stories by the Yakuza team. It doesn't have the best side content. The side content is mostly good, with a side touch of Yagami cheating on 4 girls, and if you say no, you're still an awful person because they hate you, and you've essentially been teasing them, but you have to do it for side content. And some of the side content isn't even very good. Some of it is, like the whole Twisted Trio and Giant Impact is pretty funny. I think even with its sometimes mediocre side content, I still enjoyed the side content because I went out of my way to play it a lot, especially the first half of the game. I played Yakuza Like a Dragon in between and during. During Judgment and after, because Like a Dragon is a really long game. This game, actually, honestly, something I noticed is that battles play kind of similarly Persona 5. Like, it controls very similarly. The jobs are different. The story was very interesting. In both actual quality and just what was, like, going on. I liked it. There were some moments where I was like, what is going on? Why is this important? Actually, a lot of that stuff ended up making sense by the end. Just stuff I really thought wasn't that important or related ended up wrapping up really well. I loved the nods for old Yakuza fans. But honestly, after saying this, after playing this, you do not have to play any other Yakuza game to enjoy this one. You won't be missing out on much. You'll be missing out of a lot of references and side content, like the Onomichio one. But for the most part, really enjoyed it. I loved the side content I played. It was all really good. But it was like the last couple chapters, the side content stopped showing up. And I know there was more. So I don't know why that happened, but I steamrolled through the story at the very end after a really long grind. And the final fight was a little crap in a way, because you essentially have to cheese your way through it. Like, if you played the management game like me, you have, like, the one move that can really take advantage of his weakness, because even some other moves that should be taking advantage of his weakness aren't. And this dude has a one-shot move, and if he targets Kasuga, the main character, also in the Ichiban, you might have to restart the fight if you aren't panicking like me and decide to look up online, is there any way to avoid this character's one-shot move, and see, wait, I remember this move. That actually helps you avoid it. And so I finished it. He only targeted Costco once, but you can also just get lucky. I saw in that thread never get targeted, so I don't think it's the best game I played, but I would recommend it to just about anyone who liked any RPG. I hesitate to even rank this one because I want to revisit it. I played it for about 2 hours. 2 hours too many. One of the things people really like about this game is the gameplay. I don't really like hack and slashes like this. It's not my thing. So that's already a downside for me. I really like the art style. Nothing will change that. The art style is pretty good in this game. I wouldn't mind the comic book style storytelling if it wasn't fully voice acted, which just throws me off so much. And the localization team really dropped the ball. Or either that, or the people just didn't really know how to write a story, because I played, I think his name was Yuito's story for about 2 hours, and they were just dropping plot elements like word after word after word in the first conversation. I was playing with a friend, talking to them the whole time, and we were like, what is going on? The English voice acting, how do you have such bad voice acting? Like, objectively bad, in my opinion. Well, I guess that's subjective. Subjectively bad voice acting. The Japanese voice acting was really good. I want to give it another shot. Maybe it's the girl, because a lot of people said she has a more interesting campaign for new people to get into. This game is very mixed. It seems like you either love it or hate it. So for now, I'm gonna put this in a D. If I revisit it, I'll re-rank it. It's kind of like I'll take another look at Persona 5. Horizon Zero Dawn. I've played about 6 hours of this game. Wow. Okay, so picture this. Aloy takes up an eighth of this thing's size, so this thing is humongous. It is way stronger. You do not want this thing to figure out where you are. It's not very easy to dodge it, so essentially you have to stealth kill this thing with your new trap that stuns it, and not get found out. And so this thing, when it gets shocked, and it gets back up after you shoot it with some flame arrows, because that's what it's weak to, it looks around for a little bit and tries to figure out where you are. Well, the closer it gets to you when it hits your trap, the closer it will look into you, and you have to move around in your little grass you're hiding in. It was so morbidly hilarious, terrifying. I was laughing at how good this moment was. It was absolutely insane how well Guerrilla Games pulled it off. It's like that moment, I point to this, and this is why I play video games. Experiences like that. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart. Any objections? No? There shouldn't be. This is one of the coolest games I have ever played. It makes really good use of this guy and its adaptive triggers, its haptics. This game's Rift system is pretty cool. You know, you question, maybe it could have been pulled up the PS4 until you get this feature called the Liaison Crystals, which as soon as you hit them, transports you into an alternate version of the world you're in. It's a really easy platinum. It took me about 16 hours to beat the game and platinum it at the same time. It is absolutely gorgeous. Yeah, I think it deserves its place up there. This game, Persona 4, is subject to change its place because I hadn't finished it, but I really like it. As you've probably seen, I've been playing it. I don't know if at this point it's over or it's still going. At the moment, I am at the second palace. I'm having just a fantastic time. I'm enjoying the story. I really like the characters. I think, like I said before, Chie is my favorite character. So, I don't know. I don't know if I can call this game better than 5. Because 5 literally takes, especially gameplay-wise, takes everything this game does and makes it better. But in a weird, like, I don't know, almost undescribable way, I like 4 better than it. I don't know how to describe it. 2018's God of War. So this game was an interesting one. I was kind of hoping I'd enjoy it. Everyone seems to love this game. I just didn't. I am so insanely mixed on this game because there's some stuff I really like. I really like the visuals. I kind of appreciate the narrative it's going for with all the Noire stuff. I'm neither opposed nor against the gameplay. But at first, I was getting really annoyed at the dad because I thought the dad was being really rude. Like, he's being really just plain rude to his son. And then eventually I ended up changing sides and I thought the son was just being an idiot and the dad was in the right. And then it kept going back and forth and I didn't like either of them, so that made me not want to play the game. The side content is like alright. It's just like everything about the game is so alright, and I feel like especially the UI and the menu looks exactly like Horizon Zero Dawn did this. I just don't think it's either bad or good. I think it's just alright. Alright. Well, to start off, for reasons why this game is going straight in F tier without a second thought, its name is Alternate Jake Hunter, DAEDALUS, The Awakening of Golden Jazz. I'm not joking. Also, if I didn't buy this game on sale for $3, I would have paid $40 for it, which should be an insane crime for this game. This game is the worst attempt at a game I've played. This first point, it was kind of like, alright, the localization team isn't doing an incredible job. And then it slowly delved into, alright, the gameplay team isn't doing a very good job. And then by the end of the 2.5 hours I played of this, everyone didn't do a good job. Even the story writers did a pretty bad job. The only people that weren't doing a terrible job were the Japanese voice actors who were swearing they were talking in English according to the story. If you want to see exactly why I hate this game, I streamed it for 2.5 hours, and it was the worst piece of garbage I have ever played. Please, it's not even worth your $3. It is not even worth being free. It is worth being thrown in the garbage bin. Okay, I hesitate to rank this one because this one is extremely subject to change because I've only played about 2 hours of it. But I was extremely disappointed by those 2 hours. The first time it felt like Insomniac dropped the ball to me, and that upset me because I've played 3 other Insomniac games this year: Spider-Man Miles Morales, and Rift Apart. All incredible games, all I platinumed. They were all so good. The visuals in Ratchet and Clank 2016 are good. The story is not very good. The UI, especially for when you're on the map, is terrible. I don't know which objective is which. I can't view anything. I can't change many settings. The controls, I don't like hitting circle to use the swing shot. None of the guns I get control very well. They're not responsive at all. I'm gonna put this in C tier because I'm gonna give this another shot at some point. That's it for January through July. The good news is that I played a lot more great games than I did bad games. Alright, time jump. It has
been a minute. It's not been any time for you, but it's been a while for me. I wanted to start this off by just re-ranking anything I felt like I would change or I played more of, as well as adding new stuff. So I wanted to go ahead and get to that, and also I wanted to clean up the S tier. There's going to be like 2 more additions to this because this is the day before Shin Megami Tensei 5 comes out. And this is the day before Shin Megami Tensei 5 comes out, and I'm really looking forward to it. It looks like it's going to be awesome. Other than that, I've also been playing Uncharted, and I want to finish that and add it on to. Okay, I'm going to quickly recap because I just completely fooled around and forgot to switch to this whole display. So I moved Persona 5 up because I platinumed the game. I lowered Horizon because although Horizon has wowed me quite a couple times, it can never keep my interest. I was interested in the collectibles, but when the game opens up, it opens up. It just becomes very Ubisoft formula very fast. I also moved Scarlet Nexus up. I played Kanade's story again. I enjoyed it a decent bit more, but not that much more to move it out to B tier. I'm just not into the gameplay either. I think that's just me. The story was interesting, but not like that interesting. Still, I stuck around a lot longer. And definitely the better of the 2 storylines structure-wise. And I moved Ratchet and Clank movie tie-in. It's not even it's weird. I'm not a big fan of it. That kind of makes me sad because I remember when this game was coming out, I was stuck on like the Wii and 3DS. That's all I had pretty much. It wowed me and I was like, oh, this is so awesome. It's really cool. I was always like, oh, for a couple months, I want a PlayStation 4. I never got a PlayStation 4. And I'm really glad I didn't get this when it came out because it's very clunky and not very fun. Okay, it's time to move on to the new stuff. I have 10 on the line right now. I think I'm adding a total of 2 more. Moving on to the low resolution images. Super Mario Galaxy. Okay, now I'm not talking about this 3D All-Stars Collection version. I'm talking about, I went to some old used store. It was actually supposed to be a bookstore, but they had like everything. I saw a Mario Galaxy there with a manual and everything. It was like full package. I was like, oh, that's a pretty good deal. It was like, what, $10, $15, something like that. And I was like, maybe this will be the 3D Mario game I like. I just don't enjoy 3D Mario games. I love the spin-offs. I love Mario Party. I love Mario Kart. I grew up on Mario and Sonic at the 2010 Winter Olympics on the DS. I played it for about 4 or 5 hours, and it was just underwhelming. I don't know. I've heard so many great things, and I didn't go in expecting anything. I knew nothing about this. I just know everyone loves it, and it's fine. Yeah, I'm gonna put this critically acclaimed and beloved masterpiece in C tier because I just don't really have an opinion on it. I didn't think it was bad. I'm just whatever. Oh, here's something I do have an opinion on. Twin Mirror. I saw like trailers for this a long time ago, a year ago or so. I was interested, and I loosely followed the game. It came out, and I was like, oh yeah, I should get that, and I never did. And about half a year later or so, I saw it was on sale, half price, and I'm like, alright, sure. Before checking reviews. Dumbest mistake ever. It was intriguing at parts, but I felt like it was kind of
pointless at times and annoying. I really liked some of the stuff it was going for, and also there was a really weird frame rate thing where sometimes the game just decided to lock itself at 30 frames and then 60 frames randomly, like in the same, like in these story-based games, you know, those moments where it's like, oh no, I can't go this way, and does the turnaround cutscene. The environment was 30 frames, but the turnaround cutscene in the same area with no different loading was 60 frames. It was so weird. The story was kind of interesting, but it was kind of dumb too, and the character decisions, especially at the point where I quit, were becoming stupider and stupider. And like I said, I really enjoyed it, but like, Twin Mirror is literally the structure for Life is Strange 3. So much stuff from that game is based 3 takes and does it better. The mining town, Twin Mirror does this like really drab, worn out mining town, whereas Life is Strange True Colors does this beautiful and vibrant mining town that's still got loads of life to it, even if it's got horrific secrets as far as I've gathered. I've only played 2 chapters of it. I don't like this game, and I wouldn't recommend it to anyone. I like some of its ideas, but overall, no. I think it belongs in D tier because it had a lot of promise, and that's pretty much it. It had it. It didn't act on any of it. I kind of hesitate to rank Persona 3 Festival because I've only played like 10 hours of it, but I don't think I'm going to be playing any more of it this year. It's like, this game is so off and on for me. Sometimes I get really interested and play a decent bit of it, and sometimes it's like, whatever. I kind of wish I'd played 3 before 4, because 4 improves on so much of the stuff in 3, and it's practically the same engine. I'm really interested in the story. I think the story is doing a really good job. Gameplay is kind of boring and dull. It can be challenging, and that's always fun. I'm not a huge fan of the AI party members, but for the most part they work fine enough, and you can go into specifics, so that's good. I don't think it's bad. I think it's good. I think it will be good when I finish it, but for now, I'm only like 10 hours in. This is going to be a slow-paced. I'm playing it through at my own pace, taking my time, so, I don't know. Not huge on it, but I don't dislike it either. I think there are very intriguing things going on that it has been keeping me playing. I have to say, though, its opening hour or two is awesome. That was a highlight. That was so cool, especially with the Persona reveal. Yeah, that was great. So, I think fits in B tier for now, just because I have an opinion on it, but it's not formed enough, you know? Alright, speaking of True Colors, like I said, I've only played 2 chapters of it, but I really like this game. I've been enjoying it a lot. Alex is a very fun character. I will say, it's specifically in the first chapter, there were a ton of scenes that really needed music that were like clearly unintentionally awkward. Not just like, there were tons of scenes where it was supposed to be awkward. It worked well, but there were a ton more of scenes where it was not supposed to be that awkward, and it was yikes. I really like the actual gameplay aspect of it. There's a lot to do in this, which is weird to me, because in one, for the most part, it was a pretty linear experience where you could, like in some of the earlier chapters, go do some stuff, and there was like a 10 photo collectible thing. And it was kind of the same in 2. It was mostly linear, but you could also go around and get collectibles. No, this has those collectibles, but there's, especially in 2, you can probably finish chapter 2. I mean, especially in chapter 2 of 3, you can probably finish that in an hour or 15 at most if you only do the story. Like, you can bam, 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 go outside, go to Mac, go to Riley, go back to Mac or Eleanor or whatever, and then that's done. You're done with the chapter. I spent like an hour doing all the side stuff in that little town part. It was really fun, but like, I really like, there was a ton of extra side stuff to do that clearly benefited me. Like, I unlocked stuff and choices by doing that, and more story events like the LARP. I'm participating in that now. It's gonna be fun. I'm really liking this one. I really like how its choices all seem to have, for the most part, seem to have some sort of depth. And I feel like a lot of them are judging your relationship with characters, because I was initially like, why is this hug a major choice? But it wasn't. It was just saying you've changed your position in your relationship with this person. I thought, yeah, that makes sense. The more I figure it out. Yeah, I think this is really solid so far, and I want to probably rank this again next time when I've actually completed it. But I'm really enjoying it. I think it's great so far. Let me just grab this. I had never owned a steelbook before I lost Judgment. It's a really pretty steelbook, and one thing I want to say with the pretty steelbook is that it's about as pretty as the game. This game got a massive graphical boost in the Dragon Engine. I'm sure it was because I was playing on PS5, but still, like, it noticeably looked better than other Dragon Engine games I've played, and the haptics were integrated. That was cool. There were some really cool moments, mainly I think noticeable on the skateboard, but just in general, I didn't expect them to be anything special because it was multi-platform, but hey, RGG shocked me. Overall though, I have to say, the story took its time to get in, like, good. It was always interesting, but it took its time to actually pick up. It's like the halfway point. And then it picked up. It was great. I loved it. I have to say, this game had objectively better side stories than the first one. Less complicated. I hadn't played any of the DLC side stories. Apparently, I just straight up missed like 12 side cases that I couldn't find anywhere. I'm sure there are some dumb requirements I didn't do to get some of them, or I looked up a guide and it was something about like a club. I found where it was on the map, but I guess it's DLC? I couldn't tell. The other thing is the Mystery Research Club and school stories. Wow, that was really fun. Overall, yes, the story, especially at the end, it's really good and interesting. I don't think it's better than the original Judgment story-wise. There's a new style added, Snake, which is very fun and a little broken. It's really good. I played the entirety of the game on hard until I accidentally switched difficulties at the final boss fight on one of those things, and you can't change it, so I was just mad. I noticed there was a lot of like really good music in this game compared to, I noticed it a lot more in like Dragon because I wasn't focused on the battling, but generally in these games I don't tend to notice the music as much because I'm focused on playing the beating 'em up gameplay. I did notice the music a lot more in this one, and thought there was some really noticeably good tracks. I think the story just not bad at all. It's not as good as the original Judgment, and like that's a hard thing to one up. I think they still did a fantastic job trying and got very close to doing so. Oh, where do I begin with Danganronpa? So, a friend of mine had been pestering me to play this game a lot. And then the friend brought up that if I played Danganronpa, they would play Yakuza 0. So, of course I played Danganronpa, and I think for the most part it was very good, save for the last trial, which had some questionable and at times stupid logic. Gameplay, not much to it. It was just it's a visual novel and a point and click game pretty much. The plot was carried by Kyoko, who was like the only intelligent person in the building. The ending kind of messes up any chances of replayability for the game for me, because the ending kind of affects the entire story as a whole looking back on it. Like, it's not like it wasn't set up, I just think that I don't really love it. Even without some of the stupid parts and plot holes, I feel pretty happy putting this at B tier. This is a pretty B tier game. It's good. It's good. Oh yeah, and while I was playing Danganronpa, I was like, hey, I just did 4.5 hours of Trial 3. I want to take a break and play Resident Evil 3, because, you know, I'd owned the game for over a year and hadn't played it for some reason. I wasn't entirely sure. It was like 6 hours. It's about a little over half of the time it took me to beat Remake, but 2 Remake also has a second playthrough, which can be harder. This gives you a shop to mess around with points earned from each playthrough. It was fun. Yeah, it was fun. I enjoyed it. I mean, I'm definitely going to replay it more because I find that element of it very fun, but I get it being unsatisfying to others. I've seen most people say they beat it in like 3 or 4 hours, which is kind of crazy. I got this game at a great price of $31, including 2 Remake. I probably wouldn't pay any more for it because of that deal. And thinking that $60, I don't like to get into game debates because to each his own for money, but I don't like buying $60 games very often because that's expensive and only wait for game sales. Stuff like that is why I generally play a game to the end and move on unless I was particularly drawn to its side content. This game doesn't really have side content unless you call that shop side content. But overall, it was still a very fun. The plot kind of existed. It was there. It wasn't entirely intelligent or stupid. It was just kind of whatever. So, that in mind, I'd give it a B. I don't really want to rank Danganronpa 2 now that I'm looking at it. I guess I'm ranking it from this exact point in time. I've played through the entire first trial and just got on to the second murder. I was really annoyed with the game for the most part during its whole story. I think the main character you play as, Hajime, is only saved by the fact that he's voiced by Adachi from Persona 4, and I find that very funny. And also that No, That's Wrong is back. That was very fun. Until the actual murder happened, I was getting kind of annoyed because the game was like, I know you've played the first one, and Monokuma is like messing with you and stuff. And it's like, I just don't care with your mind games. I just kind of want to know what's going on, and I really kind of am getting more and more annoyed with it. But the actual murder, like the actual investigation and trial,
were very fun, and I liked most of the new mechanics introduced in the trial, or that were changed. There was like one that was really annoying. Like I said, I haven't even done the second trial yet, so this is like a very light rating of it. I don't know if I'll have played any more by the time I actually rank SMT5 and Uncharted. But for now, from this point in time, for just that in mind, that's all I played of it. It's about the same as the original Danganronpa. It plays pretty much the same. I like the pet feature, but that's just because it's kind of satisfying to me. I don't think it's actually that special. Yeah, I'd say I'd pretty much rank it the same as the original Danganronpa, just because I haven't played enough of it, and it's pretty much the same game at this point. Oh, alright. Now, I feel qualified to talk about this, even though I haven't even come close to finishing it. It is phenomenal. I think again, for another PS3 game that looks great. I love its cartoony style. The animated cutscenes are flat out gorgeous. I love how fluid all the motion is in it. I think the voice acting is pretty good. I love the little RPG part of it. And the monster collection part of it, because every area I have ended up collecting every single possible monster and been metamorphosing them as much as I can. It's very fun and enjoyable so far. I've been so lost in the game itself and all its side content, I always kind of end up forgetting about it. But it's not hard to pick back up. You walk back and then you're like, oh, that's what I was doing, and you're done. It's not a complicated story. I mean, this, for all of its depth, is still a kid's game. You know, it's rated E, I think E10 and up or something. And it deserves that rating. I mean, I would give if I had a kid that was like 7 or 8, I'd totally give this game to them. You know, it's great, but it still holds up for anyone who wants to play it, and that's why I like it a lot. Also, its soundtrack is really fun and great for the most part, like that title screen song. Woo! It's good. I still don't think it's in there with like that S tier row at all. It would probably be an A+, like if I could put it halfway. I'm not going to. But if I could put it halfway, it would be there. It's great. It's just not like, wow, oh, this is best game I play. Like, I don't think it compares to Persona 5 or Rift Apart or Spider-Man. But it's really fun. I'm just trying to think of, like, even comparing them is such a stupid idea. Either the next thing you'll be seeing is the outro, or Shin Megami Tensei 5 and Uncharted and maybe a couple other wild cards being ranked, and maybe like 1 or 2 being reorganized. Small jump to the future, real quick. I just gave myself more time to play these 2 games since one of them hadn't even come out, and I'm only halfway through the other one. So, yeah. Okay. So next on the list, Uncharted Drake's Fortune. This game is a really weird one in a way. I didn't expect to be playing it this year, probably next year but I saw the collection on sale for cheap, and I was like, hey, I have Uncharted 4 sitting in my PS Plus library, might as well give it a shot, and for what it's worth, I really like it. It's just fun. It's a lot of fun. The story's interesting. It's not like top tier. It's very campy and Indiana Jones-like. And I really enjoy Indiana Jones. So, yeah, that was good. There's not a ton to say. It's just a really fun game. The gunplay's good for the most part. The game, especially considering it's a PS3 game, at times looks fantastic. It's not like I'm saying PS3 games look bad. I'm saying that it looked better than my expectations were set for. I think some of that's probably retexturing and remastering stuff, but even then,
the original stuff was present on the PS3, and if it even looked half as good, I would have still been impressed. I normally don't focus on graphics in games because it's just not my priority. I play on them, but this game's actually really pretty. Honestly, it's a very fun one, and I think if you have like $20 lying around, if the game's not on sale, it's 3 games. I'm pretty sure they're all same engine, same whatnot, part of a story, plus that foreign Lost Legacy remasters coming out at some point. So yeah, I'm excited to play more. I think that this is basically the perfect place to put it. Hiya, Idiot of the Year here. Forgot to add one more thing I've been playing recently. Final Fantasy VII. Like, I've been playing this so much and really loving it. What? How much of an idiot am I? Okay. So, this isn't my first time messing with the original Final Fantasy VII, but this is the farthest I've gotten, and I'm going to keep playing more. I, like, dabbled with it every once in a while. I think the first time I messed with it was on Game Pass, and I was like, alright, I'll get this for the Switch, and I'll actually play it. I did it. I finally started it up, like, this weekend. It's fun. I like it a lot. It's not, like, best thing I've ever played, but, especially considering it's really impressive for a PS1 game, because I've been playing a lot of those recently, and loving them a lot. Now, you may be asking where are those PS1s in the tier list. I didn't put enough time into any of them to warrant putting them on this, like Metal Gear Solid. I put 2 hours into, loved it, but I want to, get like halfway through it before I rank it or anything. So that'll probably be on next year's. Or I tried the original Resident Evil for a little bit. It was interesting. This game's a blast, and it's aged pretty well if you don't mind the really jank character models, which automatically make Final Fantasy VIII a more attractive game. It's my favorite Final Fantasy. For what it's worth, I've really enjoyed this so far, and I think I've caught up to as far as the remake goes. I haven't actually played the remake, I just looked into roughly where it goes. I have really enjoyed the about 6 or 7 hours I put into it. You're saying only 6 or 7 hours? That isn't a ton considering it's a big game. It's way more than I'd put into it before, and I've played a pretty sizable chunk of it. I'd say it's pretty worthy of ranking it. So here, B tier. It's not like, it's a PS1 game, 2021. It's not going to be as high as it may have been way back then, but for what it's worth, I really like it. Also note that in future clips, you will not see this here, because I just realized I forgot to add this. I swear this is the only thing I've forgotten to add. I went and double-checked everything. Alright, and the last game on the list. And it's a fun one. Shin Megami Tensei 5. How I've enjoyed this game. I mean, I've been playing the Persona series all this year, and I was going to pick up Nocturne at some point. I'm probably going to pick it up next year. It has a story, and its story's not bad. It doesn't actually, you don't actually see much of the story until after you leave the first section of the Netherworld, which took me 16 hours. So, yeah, if you're a fan of Persona, don't go in expecting story. I had already been told multiple times not to go in expecting a story, so I was just expecting a fun game, and boy did I get one. I'm playing on normal right now, and it's so fun. It's just like, it's not insanely hard, except the boss fights. The boss fights can be a little difficult. It's a challenge. Like, I have to think about my actions most of the time, especially in those boss fights. And you also kind of want to be careful and save a decent amount of times, because I've already once lost like an hour of progress because I went to a side quest dude and he was like, fight me. You can't say no. So that was the thing. I'm liking what it's going now that the story's kind of started more. I'm just got back to the second section of the Netherworld because, you know, I'm a busy person. I'm interested. I like it a lot. I think the reason why I have both of the Persona games so high up is because, especially with Persona 4, its story really hit me, because if I was judging Persona 4 as a gameplay, it'd be down in B tier. I think 5 Royal would be A, just because it's insanely easy. Like, you would not believe. The only thing that would even make me... I want A tier, but I'm not saying it's worse than the other games, because I'd say it has better gameplay. It's just when I play games, I go for stories. So, look, out of all of these on this top row, 2 are not really story games. Ratchet and Clank and Resident Evil. And they both have other stuff going for them. I'd still say that I'm not saying that Shin Megami Tensei 5 is necessarily worse than Persona 5. I'm saying that Persona, or 4, I'm saying that they have, the Persona games, or 4 and 5 at least, have aspects that appeal to me more, even though I absolutely adore this game. Although I really do have to mention this game has some really good soundtrack pieces and really awesome camera angles. Like, I'm screenshotting left and right. It's like, oh, that's so cool. That's so cool. I might have to throw a couple up here. Looks really good for a Switch game, and just in general too. Okay, now it's time to pick what I think the best game of the year is. Of all of this selection, it's probably going to come from the S tier. So let's instead focus on it. So starting off, I already mentioned Resident Evil, probably best horror game I've ever played. I wouldn't call it the best game though. Spider-Man Remastered, love that game so much. It's very solid, and enjoyable. It's just like it's just like exactly what I would want out of a Spider-Man game. Judgment, what I'd argue still is RGG Studios' best story in any game, which also just helps because it's a one-off. Like a Dragon, I really liked its gameplay and combat. That's pretty much the same thing. And I thought its story was great. But I am not sure I'd put it any higher. Rift Apart was insanely cool, so that's a contender. Persona 5 Royal isn't moving, because although I really liked the game, I'm not putting it up there. There are flaws. So I think the two contenders are Persona 4 and Ratchet and Clank. Ratchet and Clank Rift Apart because it's one of the coolest and prettiest games I've ever played. To this day, like, it still blows my mind. Persona 4 because its story, it hit so many beats with me, and I love it so much. And at the time I'm doing this, I'm basically finished with this. Now, right now, I think if everything goes well, number 13 is out, which means there's like 21 or 22 more to go. So basically my options are the coolest, prettiest game, or the most connected I've felt to a video game story, probably since Kiwami 2 or Life is Strange when I played that like 4 or 5 years ago. I think I just have to give it to Persona 4. Like, I'm being real. It's just such a good game. Obviously, I have had problems with it. Especially one particular tense scene. Ignoring that, I don't even know how to put in words how much I've loved this game. It means a lot to me, honestly. And I'm really so thankful I got to play it this year. So, yeah. I'm gonna take one last look at this list. This is one of the coolest, most fun ideas I've had in a while, and I'm really glad that I got to finish it. It is November 27th right now. There are a couple games I probably want to play at the end of this year that just aren't going to make it in. I think I've mentioned this, or I'm going to mention this in the outro coming up. This is it. I have to finish this early because with how chaotic everything is, just in general, there was no way I could get this done. Like, no way I could get this done in December. Plus, one of the games I'm wanting to try comes out mid-December. No, not happening. By the way, seriously, Security Breach, open your pre-orders already. I just want to buy the game. Alright, I'll hand it over to 2 weeks ago me to close this up. Alright, thanks for watching this project. It was a very fun idea that struck me. It was like sometime in July. I was like, oh, that would be such a cool idea, such a fun idea. And then I realized that this wasn't hard to put together at all. It would be really easy, actually, and fun. And so I did it. I have to say, because I haven't edited the second half or that little third bit yet, it was very fun. It took a lot of time. And my computer started sounding like an airplane, and so I just had to export the first half because it's like, whoo, I should leave this thing alone and not, like, I shouldn't add on to this. It'll be a lot happier when it's that just compressed file. I did want to mention, I felt like there was a noticeable lack of Nintendo games, especially that I liked on this list. And that's literally just because I don't play Nintendo Switch games much, because they're all $60. And like I've said, I don't like paying $60 for a game because that's a lot of money to be paying for a game. And so I normally, on PlayStation and Xbox, those games go on sale for half off or more in a year. So I find it just more worthwhile to wait. Now Nintendo doesn't put on their games on sale for more than like $42. Like, I think The World Ends With You was a DS port, a port from the DS game, and it is pretty much stuck at $60. And I think only just got a drop because they got put on that Switch Online trials thing. I could also do one for like anything I replayed in the year. That would be kind of fun. Not gonna lie. I plan to do a little fun tier list like this. I thought this was actually a really funny concept and enjoyable. Putting my opinions out on the internet. What a good idea. I'm sure no one will be annoyed that I put 2018 God of War in C tier. Oh, the backlash is gonna be terrible. Especially because at this point in time, I put Final Fantasy 15 in like A tier compared to that, and that'd be like a war crime to some people, I'm sure. Yeah, I'm just basically discussing ideas I have for next year's projects. I know Persona 4 is still going. I'm guessing it's on somewhere like between parts
I gotta trust that I'll get 13 out before this. This is going on at like New Year's. I have to have had like 13 or 14 out by now. As for stuff like Life is Strange appearing between, I might do some like stream highlights every once in a while between the Persona 4s to keep things interesting, or stuff like this. Probably not as big, but tier lists or something to, you know, not just post Persona 4 once a month. At least we made it the Risei arc before the end of the year. So, yeah. I'm pretty happy with this project and what's going on right now. With that being said, and this 15-minute long outro out the door. Thanks for watching.